Okay, now, if you can't see the board from this side, from like over there, because I know there's a glare, I'll eventually write over there. This is just an outline. It's always the outline. Okay, if you haven't put your cell phones in the caddy, do that now. I know a lot of you always forget. Go put it back in there. You want to have me go do it. Okay, the first thing I want to do for maybe 5 minutes or so, let's review some of the vocabulary. The reason being, it was definitely apparent from yesterday, throughout the day, I was getting some weird questions about like the word collinear and coplanar. It wasn't just you, but it was throughout geometry. So obviously I want to cover those one more time. I didn't clearly cover that enough. So we're going to do that one more time. Just make sure you kind of know what that means and you're not lost. I do want to cover points, lines, and planes because obviously that is what your page 8 is all about, right? That's what the hardest part about this first assignment is. You got to get used to how to write it. What is it asking for? It's very different than algebra, right? So you got to get used to that frame. Now, did you ever get an email from me this morning? We got homework due tomorrow, right? I tried to send out the reminder kind of early today. That's a little unusual. That's usually about time when I'll send them about in the morning sometime. But we have book covers due tomorrow, and we have that book assignment, that one, page 8. So now, if you're already finished, done, complete with page 8, you can always turn in. I got a basket back there, got a basket up here. It looks like someone already did that. It's great. Turned in. You don't have to worry about it. I'll check it. I'll get it back to you by probably Friday, so you can make fixes if you want. So keep that in mind. But yeah, we have assignment due tomorrow. All right, let's jump right in. Let's talk about our vocab words. Obviously, we have points, lines, and planes. That's our first 3 here. We've done that. I want to review it one more time, but let's do it with some pictures of vocab. So, let's see. Let's go with the piece of cheese looking one. Where's that one? There we go. Okay. So with this, we'll go to the blue one here in a minute. All right. So for this picture, what you're looking at here, you have the plane at the bottom. There's a little piece of cheese down there. You have this pentagon on the top, and this is a prism. It's like a cylinder-looking thing. So it's a pentagonal prism. Okay. I'm going to have a series of 3 questions. You can blurt out answers, you can raise your hands, you can do whatever you need to. I just want some different answers from different people, not just the same person every time. Okay, here's what I want. First question. I need to know at least 3 points that are on plane A. So give me one.
S.
Point S. Okay. Point S. Say it again.
R.
Point R. And
Q.
point Q. Okay. Do we agree that those 3 points are on that plane?
Yeah.
Notice how I wrote them. Point this, point this, point this. That's fine. That's what I'm looking for in the homework. Now, some of you asked yesterday, Ward, can I write it like this? Can I write points with plural like an S, and then put an S, R, and, let's see, and what, Q? Yes, that is totally fine. If you put the plural and you put all the letters behind. But don't do this. That will get you a wrong. You didn't write the word point out front, I count wrong. Make sense? Just want to cover that one more time. So if you're naming points individually or in a list like that where you put the S. Okay, I think that was enough. Sorry, I just want to clarify. Some people always struggle with like that first assignment, they forget that you had to write the word point. Okay, next, second question. So somebody else now, thank you. All right, second, I need one line that does not pass through plane A or touch plane A in any way. So it can't be on it or passing through it. Can somebody give me one?
Line PM.
PM, I like it. And I like the way you said it. Line, PM. The way you said it was correct, right? Line PM, this is how you write it. Or NP, I don't really care how you say it. That's a line that definitely does not hit plane A. It's PM, okay? Now, I had some people yesterday, Ward, can I write it like this? No. When is the only time you can write the word line? Yes, exactly. You can only write the word line if you're going to use that italicized letter that would go with it. So if this had like an italicized L, by all means, use line L. So just be careful. If you're using the 2-letter system, just put the arrow above it. Don't put the word line out front. And you can switch the 2 letters, NP or whatnot. Now, there's a lot of lines up there. You can just take one. That was great. Okay. Any questions with the two problems so far? Good? Okay, don't be afraid. This is the time to kind of figure it out, ask questions. Okay, next one. Okay, next. I want a plane. I want a plane that contains point P, that has point P on it. I want one plane. So somebody else now, please.
Plane PTS.
PTS, I like that. Plane PTS. That's a plane. When you write a plane, you have to write the word plane and put 3 letters after it. PTS, that's the weird looking piece of cheese thing going vertical. It's the size of the building. Or that one. PTS. You could have PUT, that would have been fine as well. So you got a bunch of different options you could have used, but 3 letters at least. Notice no arrows on that, you just write the word plane. Now, if you had a cursive letter, like an italicized letter, you can just write plane and then the italicized letter, if you have them. Okay. Any questions with the main 3? Now, for those who couldn't see it, that's the first 3 words over here, so you're not lost. All right. We're good? Okay, let's move on to the words that I'm actually nervous about. Space, collinear, and coplanar. These are words that maybe I didn't stress them enough, or we didn't talk about them enough, but it was very apparent yesterday some people are not comfortable with them yet. So let's go to the next picture. Where is my cursor at? Okay, so what you're looking at here is a pentagonal pyramid. Has a pentagon for a bottom that's 5-sided, and it goes up to a pyramid. So it's like a teepee kind of looking thing. Okay, so this picture, does everyone see that it's somewhat 3-dimensional? Okay, you won't see it in 3D, but you get the idea that you could move it and it has parts to it, right? So this picture, since it's in 3 dimensions, would represent space. Space is a set of all points that this thing could represent. All the points on there is space, a set of all points. Now, what I'm looking for is specific things about this space. So, number 1, I would like 3 collinear points. I want to abbreviate points. 3 collinear points. Now let's see if somebody can remember what that means. So, okay, think you got it? Give me 3 collinear points.
Points J, K, and D.
Boom. I like the way you said it. Points J, K, and D. Does everyone see that? The word collinear, if you don't remember, means co-lining. They're in the same line with each other, straight line, right? Linear is line, co means to be partnered with, partnered on the same line. So those are the only 3 you had the option of picking. Now, here's the secondary question to that. Points, E, F, G. E, F, G. Are those collinear with each other?
No.
Why not?
They're not in one.
Yeah, they're not in a straight line. They make like an L shape. EFG makes like this weird L shape. That's not collinear. Collinear is a straight line. So if they're in a straight line with each other, then you could. Those don't count. Okay, do we feel comfortable with collinear now? A little bit better with collinear. I don't know if I just didn't stress it enough the first couple days. Maybe I forgot to talk about it. Just want to make sure of that. All right, second word. I want 4 coplanar points. Okay, say it.
JKDA.
JKD, good, that works. Points. J, K, D, and H. Coplanar, same flat surface. Coplaning, coexisting like partnering on the same plane, the same flat surface. J, K, D, and H, they're all the side of the teepee over here. This pentagonal face, the one that's kind of darkening. Surprising, I was not expecting that. What's the one I was probably expecting to get? Yeah, A on the bottom. That's what I was expecting. Almost everybody today except for that one. It usually says like J, H, G, or any of those 5 on the bottom. Because you could have said F or L as well. They're on the same flat surface. Okay, here's my question. The follow-up question, that plain question. Is M, point M, is it on plane X?
No.
Why not? How do we know? Exactly, it's a dashed line. The dashed line means it's poking through, so it's this situation. You're poking through the paper, maybe the tip of my pencil is M, it's at the bottom, the tip of the pencil. It's below the plane, my hand is the plane. It's poked through it, because again, the dashed line tells me that. L is on the plane, M is not. So just be careful with that. All right, questions with collinear or coplanar? Hopefully that made it a lot better. Some people just need to see that. Okay, we got a couple new words I want to talk about today. The goal is to get through at least line, segment, and array. That's what I want to get to. If we get to congruent, perfect, but my goal is to get through those other two. Bless you. What are we on? We're in here until 13 after. Okay. So I'll get some time. Okay. All right. Let me start this up camera here. Okay. All right. New word. Line segment. And let's get to the reason why. There is 3 types of lines. Three types of lines. A lot of people don't know that. There is 3. The first one is self-entitled. We've already had the first one. That was the one that was on your current assignment. It is self-entitled, just a line. You know what lines are. What do they look like? How long are they? What do they need on them? What do we know about lines? How many points are in a line? At least 2, right? Could have more. What else? Do they stop at the end? Do they keep going? What's the deal?
Keep going.
Keep going. Okay, so lines. They keep going, so they would have arrows. They're going to have multiple points on them, but they need at least 2. At least 2. There's your line. Now, how do we name that line? Line AB. That's how you say it, right? You say line AB. But this is how you write it. 2 letters, the arrows above it. Okay, we've already had that one. Infinite in length, we don't really measure it. It just kind of goes on forever. But that's a line. There's 2 other types, and that's the part I didn't tell you the other day. The second type is the new one we're getting today. Second type is called a line segment. Line segment. So, here's the picture. It's a line segment. There it is. I'll draw it bigger and put it over there. We'll do the formal definition here in a minute. What's the main difference between a line segment and a line? Yeah, doesn't keep going, it ends. So, can we measure a line segment? Yeah, I could put a ruler on the board and tell you exactly how long it is, because it had a definite start and stopping point. So there's an actual length there. So keep that in mind. So there's a clear difference between the 2. All right, let's write down the definition here. Line segments. It is a geometric figure that contains 2 endpoints and all points in between. A geometric figure that contains 2 endpoints and all points in between. Now, obviously, like I said the other day, every time you get a vocab word, there's more vocab words that spiral out of it, like the word endpoint. What can you tell me about endpoints? Like on this picture, what are my endpoints? Yeah, it's the start and stop, right? It's where they end. So let me redraw this really big. C, I gotta have all the points in between. So that E and F. Gotta have more than that. That's a segment, right? Now we can measure it. Maybe that has a measurement of 2 feet. I have no idea what that is. I'm just making it up. Let's say this is 2 feet in length. So we can actually measure. It's measurable. We can use a US customary system with a ruler, inches, feet, miles. You can use a metric system, millimeters, centimeters, meters, kilometers, whatever you want to measure in. But there's different ways of measuring those. And that's something we're going to look at probably tomorrow. Now, here's my question. how do we write it though? Because before we wrote lines, we used arrows, and we had the two letters. So how do we write a segment? That's annoying. Like the fresh air. Those windows are annoying me. All right, how do we write it? What do you think? How do we write a segment? What's the name? Someone want to throw a guess, please?
The two letters with a line over it and two dots at the end.
Yeah. Two letters, put a bar above it. You want to put the two dots, it's fine. You can just put a bar. No arrows. No arrows. Now, does it matter the letters or the order we write the letters? Nope. Write D, C, C, D, doesn't really matter. Now, here's the goofy part. Now, the book will call this a segment, just segment, or a line segment. They mean the same thing to me. So if the book says name a segment, they mean line segment. You can name it like that. So you can call it CD. Or, there's a different way to write a segment. This is gonna be a little weird. You write just CD, nothing above it. No bar at all. Now, that's very different. Like with a line, you had to have the bar above it, right? The arrows. But this one you can leave it off. Even though I know there's more points than that, but you can leave it off. Here's the difference. If they put the bar on it, they're actually talking about the line, the drawing itself. The actual physical representation, the drawing. If they leave the bar off of it, they're actually talking about the measurement. So how long is my segment on this board?
2 feet.
2 feet, that's what the bottom represents. Now, the book will use them interchangeably, but there is supposed to be a clear difference. The bar off means the measurement, the bar on it means the physical drawing, so you know what you're talking about. Okay, make sense? Okay, so that's a segment, 2 endpoints. Okay, last type today. Last type. Third type, last word probably. It's array. Array is the final type, the third type of a line. All this. Probably our final word today, that we get a little bit of time to go and work on now. Yeah. Okay. Array is a geometric figure. That contains one endpoint and continues in one direction without limit. One endpoint continues in one direction without limit. So what's the drawing going to look like? Somebody's name.
Endpoint with an arrow.
Boom. Endpoint, arrow going in one direction. We call this G and H. There you go. I'm going to draw a really big drawing so some people can't see that. There's array. Now, is that measurable? Can I put a ruler up there? No, it's got an arrow. It's infinite limit. Now, I know this picture contains a segment. Like if you ignore this arrow, there's a segment there. You can measure that little stick, that segment. But array generally you don't measure. Now, the hardest part about this is like the number one question people miss on this first chapter 1 test from previous years. They always get the ray wrong. Because rays, it's not like the others. You can switch the letters around, you can put arrows, no arrow, that type of thing. But a ray is super specific, the way you have to write its name. So I don't care if there's more than one dot here. Okay, I don't care what you have. Okay. When you name a ray, you have to use the endpoint. So what's the endpoint up there? H. You have to have H somewhere in its name. Now you get to pick one of the other letters. Just pick one of them. I, okay? So H-I, right? And when you write it now, you have to put the endpoint above the correct letter. Which one's the endpoint here? H, the endpoint better be above H, and the arrow is above the other one. I don't care if you switch the letters around, so you write, JH for all I care. The endpoint's above H, the arrow goes the other direction. Okay? This is the notation how you write its name. The name doesn't have to look like the picture. You just have to make sure the endpoint is above the correct letter, wherever the endpoint's at. That makes sense to you. For some reason that people cannot wrap their head around that. Put the dot above the right endpoint. Because if you have the arrow switch around, you're kind of wrong. That's how specific I am. Okay, questions at all about the words we've talked about today? Okay, I'm going to give you the rest of the time. You have about 10 minutes or so. You kind of work. You can work on that page 8. If you're finished, done, complete, click on where you need to. If you want to turn it in the basket, you can do that. I know some people like to. You want to put the papers in the back? I know some people like to show back. I have the basket up front.
You finished?
Remember, if questions, do not be afraid to ask. That's why I'm giving you time to work this.
Hey, Jake, we're on there cleaning up. Right on,
This is cute. I thought you were going to way before that.
you said we're on 15?
I was waiting on you to ask.
I can't still playing it, or I still can't do voting.
Voting is terrible. If Reddit is blocked, I am academically safe.
You're academically safe if Reddit's blocked.
If it's not, then that's all I'm doing.
Or you have to see it carrying out
It is blocked.
No, it's
What? Are you some I know that.
Same when you're free, before or after school? Before, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. 10 minutes, that's all you have. It's your first one.
Let's see if the
Just
Wi-Fi.
don't show up at 8:20 expecting to get 10 minutes in there. That doesn't work like that.
The Wi-Fi doesn't really work in the shop.
What do you think? It's all brick. I don't get service in health room.
Neither do I. Isn't it? Because I don't know what.
I don't get service after school.
Yeah, the shop doesn't have any of the
To
things.
the point?
The shop has no routers.
Oh, it's probably keys.
Neither does anyone else in the shop.
No, like my phone. No, I get no phone
No,
service.
18.
Like,
I get phone service, they just don't get computer service in the shop when they're anywhere near the shop.
They're on, they are on.
What? Yeah.
That's why
I make the Bugatti chairs. Yeah.
I already did.
No.
Our points are A, H, J, and
So you know what?
No, disgusting.
no.
Because they're.
Why did you
Can
explain
explain
it?
it?
I mean, I want a wide body and cool.
Yeah, and so I just don't want to get it. Yeah, because
You don't
I'm
want
just
to
curious.
get it.
If you're at her sister's locker, and she's like,
Reading points is not contained in
now the beginning of stuff gives me
point
In the point,
Go talk to Alvin about that. My locker still doesn't work. I got in trouble with it.
No, it's
Points,
late.
points A,
now.
He's kind of dry. He's like,
that's on the line. Points
It's not math hall because I
A,
had.
right, you can do that, points A.
What'd you guys put for next time?
Points P and A.
Man, how did you spur him?
Because my sister is the one who said, hey.
Yeah, this is number one. Yeah, it's coming.
Oh, and M.
No, need everything to be the same.
That was last year.
P, A, and G.
Points
Well,
A
Johnny
and
should've taken
C.
one.
P,
Yes. Really?
G is on a line.
Wait, what's
Point
one?
on.
That's not even
Don't put
fair.
one.
What is another?
I'm sure he's just
On a
the
line.
first
G
grind.
is on a line.
Did I get number 34 right? Did I copy that down right?
Becomes a. Oh. Drew's wrong.
Yeah.
Because like everything's like
Everything was like one.
I always space them out.
Can you help me with C? F, C, D is 20.
Wait,
Yes, pretty good. What does it say?
Yeah, so you draw a line.
Okay, draw a line. C.
And then you put the 2 points on.
I thought that was.
You what, Coda said?
Let's line M intersects.
21, 30,
Yeah.
F, N,
Draw and label view for each.
Are they on the same flash?
You can explain it.
It's a yes, it's a yes.
Indian motorcycles.
It's explaining to be
cursive?
so yes or no, it'd be
We're on
like,
line.
yes.
It's not cursive, it's italicized.
No,
Same
no,
thing. Time. So it's not.
Your computer stuff.
Okay, let's.
Oh, so then it's not gonna go
I'm a
through the
shade.
dash line? Oh, we gotta have a plane and then like dash and here. Hold on.
Can we get Suzuki Jimny?
Boom. Thanks.
Plane M, then you gotta do the lead first.
Emma, what are we supposed to
Like
like
this. Line
Plane R.
this?
Line M.
Yeah.
This is
Draw for 32.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask.
So it's that.
I must go with it.
I have a question.
Does that be on point?
My puppy peed on my bed last night.
Second point, right?
Not until the right spot.
36.
Like so bad.
Go get someone in the right.
Why lie?
God dang, they need to put a CA.
And you put
Why?
the CEO is the end. I put.
Above my head. Is
How
I don't know.
Why, so I gotta put this on
Draw a line, there's a
there.
dash, it's
My
poking.
phone was right here and I have it going to
That's a demon.
and my dog's right there like connected.
Or like, it's not.
I don't remember taking you out.
Ready to work today.
I'm low.
So this is the plane R.
Oh, perfect.
Kleenex.
That's the
This should work. Take that drawer line.
Yeah, I keep hearing about that. Was he really that like?
Yes.
Yeah,
No, it was Miss Penny.
Oh, these are mine. I bought, like, these cookies are
Yeah, it's not like super.
I love that.
Last time I worked, it's kind of crappy outside. Wait, no, it wasn't crappy out, I guess. During the day, when we were open, it didn't rain the entire time. That might have helped though, that rain really.
I wonder if he does
Kinda wet. Wait, you were Friday though, right? Oh no, there's no room over it.
I think so, 'cause
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
This book's
Ready to really work today. Wait, you were?
I'm doing good.
Right, I think her first one was gonna be.
I heard yours was. I read it, I made a decision. Come on, make my cheap a 656. Stupid no.
You'll be making them all. You're hot on top. You just stand there
I'm
and
making it a 656.
just like, I just stand there watching.